Hello, this is Brian from Tavaran Games here with another update to Dungeon Maker. So in this update I'll be going over the changes I've made to the campaign map. That's where most of the update's been, as well as the addition of hidden doors to the game, and a couple little bug fixes and new items. So let's go into an edit campaign. Let's just grab this test campaign one and hit the edit campaign map. Now the first thing we're going to do is under our Coastline Generator, create random coasts. You can see I've added a whole bunch of new options. So there are some presets. Small islands, large islands, continents, and Pangea are presets. They just move these sliders around that determines what we can do with the map, as well as your map size. So if we did want to do like a wide map that's a bit narrow, we can do that. And yeah, let's try Pangea and hit generate. We'll zoom out a bit, and there we go. We get one landmass. It's an interesting shape. If we do that exact one again, we'll get something completely different. Do that again, you can see that it's generating up a random Pangea style map where it's just one continent. If we go for separate continents, you can see we get these two large land masses. Continents will generally try to create two separate land masses. We can do that a few times. In this case, it did join up in the top. That does sometimes happen, but there you go. Most of the time we get those two separate land masses. We have large islands. We can see a bunch of different islands there. They generate up. Small islands should be a whole bunch of separate small ones, which you see like a little archipelago type thing. So yeah, we've got that. We can change the size as well. So let's say we want to make it bigger. It'll do that. See, we can zoom out and see we have this bigger map. Let's go back to smaller, and you can play with these sliders as much as you want. So let's say we put them all into the lowest level. That should just be basically nothing. And then if you put them all to the top, we should get a just big old landmass. So generate that. And yeah, you can see it fills up most of the map. And then yeah, anything in between. So you can change things up and see what you get. And you can sort of get these interesting generated landmasses for you to start your campaign map generation with. So let's go back to just do a Pangea one. That looks pretty good. So the other thing you've probably already noticed is the artwork. So I redid the artwork for the campaign map. I drew it myself in a top-down style, whereas before I'd found some icons online that were Creative Commons and free to use as placeholders. And I didn't want to try to mimic that art style. I wanted to just be able to quickly draw the images myself, and that way I could also add images in my style. As well, this top-down style better matches the regular maps, the encounter maps. And with the top-down style, you now have the ability to rotate the items by pressing the R key. So, and we can resize as before, so we can slap down a castle there, make one there. And the other thing with this top-down style is you can combine a few things together to make like a little village scene if you wanted. So you can like build up a city using multiple icons put together in multiple buildings. And I do plan on drawing more buildings in that so that you can be able to really build out your little cities and anything on the map. So yeah, we've got like our pier. And the same thing is true for the mountains, where now, instead of before where you individually placed a mountain and it would select a random image from the ones to make it quick and easy to have diversity, I realized that with being able to rotate them and the different shapes of the mountains, you would really want to be able to place specific ones to get your desired look. So these are now individually placed. You can rotate them as well, and you can build up your mountain chain, giving it different peak shapes, resizing them as you want. We also have the non-snow-capped mountains as well, which are the same but without the snow. And then the hills, which you can sort of stack together and place a bunch of different hills around to make a really hilly area. And that one I've put in a few different colors so that you can really customize it based on the background colors in the map. If you remember, we had background colors. And then yeah, trees, I added a few new types of trees. So we've got, make these bigger so they're easier to see, some palm tree icons. Now the trees do randomize which image they do, same with the hills. And we can place on, we now have these snow-covered pine trees, these bare trees for sort of dead areas, or you can also mix with the snow-colored trees for a winter, like deciduous trees in the forest, and make a really neat little winter scene. And then the previous trees, we had just their standard deciduous trees with their leaves, and coniferous trees, the pine trees without snow. So yeah, that's what I've been working on with the campaign map. So that's been looking pretty good. Now let's exit this. An item I've added, here we can go into this test village map, which has nothing on it, are called hidden walls, or sorry, hidden doors. So if we go over to the doors, you'll see there's one here. It's just a lock icon. It's a hidden door. It's meant to be placed on a wall. I mean, you can place them anywhere, but it wants to be on a wall. It just appears as a lock. Now, I actually am hosting a game using the editor here, and you can see here I've got a lock on one of the walls, and I can unlock it and lock it as the Dungeon Master. So let's lock that, and let's look at what the player sees. So the player in the game just sees a wall. With the hidden door on lock, I'm trying to walk through, I can't do it. Now let's go back and have the Dungeon Master unlock it. We have the player standing next to it, and the player can now walk into it, and the wall will temporarily disappear. The player can click on it as if it's a door and close and open it if it's been unlocked. So here's me clicking it. Same with the Dungeon Master. So if the Dungeon Master, if I right click that, I can open it. We go back to the player and it's open. Now player, we can close that, go back to the Dungeon Master, and it is unlocked and closed. So that's a nice little feature for you to be able to hide doors in your map, create puzzles to open certain things. You can place clues, and then the players can potentially click on the wall themselves in the right location if you leave it unlocked, or they can just randomly walk through it. So this will allow you to sort of do some fun things with your campaign, have the players be able to really explore and you to build up some interesting interactions. Now, the other thing I fixed, if we go back to our Dungeon Master, and let's add some fire to the map. So again, we can add fire as of the previous update. And the player, wrong one, should see that just fine. So the fire's there. Now, what was happening before is when you exited the game or back to the campaign map, then the fire would stick around. It would just still be burning wherever it happened to have been. So I fixed that. So now, after that, or when you return to the campaign map, the fire will delete. So if we look, there's no fire around. It is gone. So that was a funny little bug that I just hadn't even noticed that has now been fixed. And another little fix, you won't really see it here, is just a thing for the network manager. This little network manager that runs the multiplayer. If a player was unable to connect to a game and decided to exit it, the network manager object would survive. It would go back to the home screen. Network manager object would still exist and still be trying to connect to the game it failed to connect to. And then when a player would jump back in to try and join a game again, it would still have the old network manager still trying to connect to the old game and would never connect. So you'd have to restart Dungeon Maker to be able to try your connection again. So I fixed that of when you hit the exit game button, it properly destroys the network manager. So if we go to the player in the game, if we're to hit exit game, when we do that and go back to the main menu, it now actually destroys the network manager object instead of just trying to end the connection. Making it so that you don't need to restart the game if you fail a connection. So a nice little fix for if your internet goes down or another glitch causes your connection to drop. It does sometimes happen. I'm still trying to work out all of those bugs. But in case you hit that, you now don't need to restart the game to rejoin. At least you shouldn't need to. I have yet to be able to glitch a character out of the game in order to test that. So if you have that problem still, please let me know and I will fix that or try to fix that again. And now finally, I've added items. So we go into our items. So under monuments and statues, we have now these obelisks, which are just meant to be, tall, pointy obelisks, or you can use them as columns and pillars, whatever you'd like. A few different colors depending on your scene you want to set. I've also added on a new tree, this bear tree, which also matches your campaign map. So that way you can add that as well as this little bush version of it. So you can add these in to have your winter forest or maybe a spooky forest. I should do one with it covered in snow as well. I'll hopefully get that done soon. And then in the furniture, I've made a new category called military. So the military tent now just says military. Open that up. We have the couple different types of tents. I've also added in this archery target. Good for your military camp scenes. Weapon rack for you. You can put it in stores or in your military camps. As well as these flag poles with a couple different colored flags, so you can build up your camps and have different factions with the different colored flags. I'll be adding in more colors and more flag shapes in the future as well. And then the last new object under decorations, if we go to our books and writing, is a map object. You can place down just a simple little map, but again, good if you've got a military camp or a castle nat, or you want the players to just find a map. You can now have this map object to represent that. So that's all the updates I have for you this month. Hopefully I'll be updating a little bit quicker in the future. It's just been a very busy month for me. But I'm still trying to keep on top of this application/game and really bring in features and items and things for you to be able to really host cool D&D campaigns or other role-playing campaigns. And again, with everything, if there's anything you want to see added to the game, new features, new items, anything else, please leave a comment on any of the update videos or a discussion on the Steam page for the game itself. And as always, have a good one.